We'll look at the one undefeated get from this last weekend at the New Year's Knockout GT. 50 people event. Everybody showed up out of the 50 people that had the tickets, it looked like. So we had Joe Guzowski. I'm sorry, buddy. I can't remember your name. I'm illiterate idiots. You guys know that. Shout out to the chat. I can look at you gets in a bit. Don't worry. I'm not forget about you. Be sure to ask your questions. Give your comments about the rise of the Mega Nobz, because here we are with Big Mech in Mega Armor, followed by another Big Mech in Mega Armor. Boss Snikrot. Ooh. Okay. I know some of you guys got excited when you seen that. What I want to know right off the get bat, if you guys know this get, or if he can answer in the comments, did he run Boss Snikrot with the Kommandos? Did he run him solo? Did he even consider running him solo? Are they always with the Kommandos? I don't want to hear it. We have Mazrod Scragbag, a war boss with super cyborg body, kind of a sleeper little pick sometimes, right? And then a war boss. Only one truck on this list, but a battle wagon, and then a Deffdread. Shook the whole community up. Discord was shouting this out to me too. They're like, hey man, a Deffdread, yeah. I know Brad Chester tried a Deffdread. You know, you're looking to induce battle shock. You're looking to take advantage of that damage 3 from the Dread Claws. You know, you can soak up some damage over there. You know, hey, I'm a Deffdread coming off the side of the board. That's where I would assume he would do with him. He moves kind of slow and he's too easy to one shot if you don't. One Gretchen unit, the Kommandos unit that I was speaking of. 2 Mega Nob units, but as you can see, as my Discord likes to fight with me, we have the Power Claw and the custom shooter loadout, and then we also have 2 of them with twin kill saws. So which is better? Nah? So then we have 2 of those, followed by the way I like to run a big unit of Nobz, yet the twist with a twist on it, he has 5 of them with big choppers. So he has big choppers on 5, Power Claws on the other 5. So how do I like to run my Nobz? I like to run big 10-man units of Nobz, really get in there, punch whatever you have to, take advantage of the fight on death ability. But this one, using the big choppers too, you can see he's like, you know what? I'm looking for just the orc strength here. And the orc strength, volume of attacks, and accuracy. So he's looking to be accurate, but not hitting on 4s with the Power Claws, hitting on 2s with the big choppers instead, with still a good strength that flat damage too. And then 2 units of Storm Boy. So keep this list in mind as we go forward and look at his matchups. 2 Mega Nob units, 2 big units of Nobz, 1 Commando, 1 Deffdread, only 1 Grot unit, a battle wagon, and a truck. All right. So Mazrod Scragbag, of course, sneaking in there with this Mega Armored list. So let's look at the matchup for this get. For his first matchup, which he ended up getting, as you can see, he went undefeated. So he had an 83-point win into bam. As we were just speaking of, the Black Templars coming in with the strike force of 2,000 points. We have High Marshal Hellbreak, very powerful name character, quite annoying. So a couple of abilities that he has. He adds 1 to the strength characteristics of the weapons for the models in that unit, and a successful hit roll of 5+ is a critical hit. He also has the ability in the beginning of a fight phase. He selects 1 enemy unit within the engagement range on a 2 to 3, D3 mortal wounds, and then on a 4 to 5, he takes 3, and then on a 6, it's D3 plus flat 3. So really odd but possible ability to just spike mortal wounds. He also fights great with flat damage 3 and then a bunch of different, like a sweep attack. Very cool. Then we have a lieutenant, good old-fashioned lieutenant, another lieutenant, an Emperor's Champion. So there you get another fighty character, a Crusader squad for the cheap, just normal Marines. 1, 2 Black Templar Impulsors. You gotta appreciate those free weapons that they get. Well, I guess you pay 5 points for them, but it feels a little free to get melted, right? Lancer, Inceptor, Land Raider, Redeemer, and then of course the Sword Brethren unit. So this is 1 High Marshal Hellbreak's and be sticking on one of these guys most likely, and just giving them more strength themselves, giving themselves more attacks. So yeah, then we have 1, 2, 3 of those very powerful units, maybe 1 each to lieutenant, such like that, and then the Calades Assassin. So just what you expect, a very strong Black Templar unit, but he did end up going into it and winning. How do I think he would do something like this? I think being able to actually tag certain Space Marine armor with your Mega Nobz, sometimes actually being able to fight, survive little skirmishes or just a bunch of different small arms fire with the Mega Nobz might be interesting. Being able to fight in death with a big unit of Nobz, being able to trade out those nasty fighting sword brethren. That way they're just not going on a stampede going forward and just fighting everybody. That's something you have to keep in mind when you end up fighting those Black Templars, boys, is your CP management greatly with orcs, but also in the armies where they have combined force of arms that they're trying to go into. You gotta reserve that CP to be able to fight in death and do unbridled carnage. Can't be wasting it. So this is a second matchup that he ended up getting a very similar score of an 84-point win going into. So again, but now he has also a Castellan on top of also having the High Marshal Hellbreak So what does he do? This unit is able to shoot and declare a charge when it fell back, and he gives units lethal hit capability. So again, he's just putting all these different fighting characters. Then he have a Judiciar for fighting first. Then he has an Emperor's Champion. So he has all these quadruple four ways to fight with super killy characters in these units. So then we have another Lancer, as we expect, an Eradicator, very cheap, nice, anti-armor. Inceptor, Infiltrator squads, a Land Raider, so just a different version. This one has the Godhammer las cannons. Orks, I don't think, and that doesn't necessarily bother orks, but in this matchup where they have a battle wagon that could be seen as a bit annoying, he gets another one with Flamestorm cannons as the Redeemer. But here's a big brick of Sword Brethren. In the other unit, he was just running 5-man units, but he invested in the full big brick unit, and then he also has 2 small units. So this is actually less. As I was speaking of here, what am I seeing this as a factor? In this matchup, it really comes down to once he gets the Land Raiders in the mid table and he chooses to fight you, you better hope that you have the CP, the fighting death, or that you actually screen properly with what you got to get in the way of that. But then he has the Flamers, he has weapons to just clear you out. You're not coming in from deserves too easily in his backlines. So it's a very balanced, strong Black Templars list, but he was able to take that out again, having so many knobs and odd toughness. Each of these knob bricks are super tough. Each of the mega knobs are super tough. Having Mazrag on your list can be super annoying. So again, he put up a win into another very efficient Black Templars list. So let's see his third matchup as Joe's just stampeding through these power armored Gits. And he runs into another power armored Gits meta bully with the Chaos Space Marines. He has, with the list called Land Raiders. Boop. Luckily for him that he's been going to Land Raiders the whole time. So he's already, on his P's and Q's with them. So he has a Chaos Lord, Master of Executions, Master of Possession. So everybody wants to play this. I'm going to put these nice cheap character in the unit, go out there and fight, which the knobs like to do. But when you have the ability to fight in death, guys, it cannot underestimate when you're managing your CP there. I know you guys love using Artist Nails. There might be a turn where you think ahead and you go, hey, some of these armies can actually get the initiative on me. I might actually end up reserving CCP right now, holding on to that Artist Nails, riding the dice, and then now you're fighting death. That actually matters early game. You can't always rely on your grok getting you CP. Especially this list, we only had 1. So, and we don't know what secondaries he was doing. So we have Cultist Mob. Sorry, I got a little ramp stampede. We have a Cultist Mob, Land Raider, Rhino. He has the mark of Nurgle, so he could be anti-defense, fire, of shooting. Sorry, he's, they get built-in abilities with that they can access. So we have the Soul Shatter Las Cannon. So these are 3 of them. Ooh, so my boy's going thick with the Las Cannons. But having that many, not too efficient not too bothersome for Orc. We do dislike it for the battle wagon, but other than that, you're like, chosen. Forge Fiend, Raptor. And so with the fact that he brought, think about this, each one of these armies that we've been showing has 3, we'll say roughly 3 big killy running into you bricks. But our Orc player here has 4 actually, not including his Magrogs sitting in the bank, right? Because he has 2 of the knobs, 2 of the mega knobs, and then he also has his handy dandy Mazrog scrag bag sitting in the back line. Sorry, we're looking at his list. And even though you're looking at these mega armored knobs and they're like, hey, we're great for armored shooting, right? All those las cannons can go into these guys, not efficiently pick them up. You might be able to draw some fire into these mega armored knobs by peeking their tail out, letting someone shoot at them. We also have the Kommandos being able to come in and get in the way of all those Land Raiders and not being overwatched by getting in the way. So, and then obviously the Deffdread. So it's funny because each of these armies, they look very killy guys, but as you're an Orc player, keep in mind, especially if you're a new one, you should be having more activations when it comes to your skirmishes. Who's going to win? Some Storm Boys or some Cultist mobs? Cultists sometimes can punch, but Storm Boys, if they get the initiative, they could punch out on them. If they have to, the Bikers can. I'm not saying go out there and fight with them, guys. Score with your Storm Boys. I'm saying when the game starts breaking down and you start getting skirmishes and fights all over the table and you're fighting in death and taking out your Death Star versus Death Star, you start realizing that, hey, what's left over, even this diminished unit of hurt knobs of 2-3 knobs and a war boss can run up and still punch out things all over the place. And that's what throws these matchups versus power armor gets over the top when you can fit a certain amount of killy units in this Orc matchup. So I really love to see how he has utility, board control with his Mandos, and all these ability to fight these Death Star matchups and actually just trade out, continue momentum, score very well. So here in his 4th matchup, he's going into T-Suns. So he has Armon on disc, Exalted Sorcerer on disc, Infernal Master, Magnus to Red, 1,000 Sun Sorcerer. 1,000 studs haven't changed much since the data slate. They're probably going to have like 20 Marines, maybe 30. So you have one unit of 5 Marines with Warp Flamers, another unit, 2, 3, 4. So 20 Marines, just broken up into small units with flamers. Only one Rhino, Vortex Beast. We have Cultists, we have Zangles, so you can try to play the mission, and then Blue Scribe. So yes, they can go out and they can just try to annihilate the Nobz. They can just try to annihilate Throttle, maybe try to bully with Magnus. But really, as we've seen on this list, he does have tools to deal with anything that's Death Star. He's going to survive, possibly survive some small arms fire. He has his weird, feel no pains from Maz in there. So it becomes just very, very overwhelming for some T-Sun players when they go into orks, even though they're still not a easy matchup by any means. And last, but certainly not least, he goes into Death Guard, which is what I see as one of our hard matchups, not just statistically, but when you think of it conceptually with this kind of list, you can see where it gets difficult with being a Rhino Rush kind of list as we look into it. So we have a Biologist Putrefier. So Biologist Putrefier is very common on most Death Guard lists you're going to see, especially from how cheap he is. So he gives you the free ability to throw a grenade on top of already throwing a grenade. So you could have used a CP on doing it, and then you can tell the unit to do it again. So he allows you to do it for free, even if you've already targeted it, used a unit and targeted somebody with that strat. And then he also gives you critical 5s, or 5s on crits. So that he gives you 2 different abilities, and the Foul Blight Spawn gives you the ability to fight first, yet he can actually attach to the same unit that already has a leader. So you can stick both of these guys in one unit, get both of their capabilities in on your Plague Marine squad for 100 points. So let's see, we got 2 Plague Marine squads with some of their weapons, and then we have 2 big bricks of Plague Marines, what we consider big bricks of 10-man units of Plague Marines. Of course, they're going to get one of each in here. So that's where the big fight first guy is sitting. Then we have 1, 2, 3 Rhinos, and then 3 Plague Burst Crawlers. But of course, let us not forget, the really diesel few on these Death Guard lists are their allies, because this is how they compound the -1 weapon skill, -1 ballistic skill with the -1 to hit, because that's where the Nurglings come into play. And then you have the Brigands getting the ability to run around, throw good OC all over the place, shoot you, help you get Meltas to disembark you from your transport so that they can actually get the initiative on you. So this is actually a difficult matchup. Very fun, very awesome that we've seen this player go into 3 quite brutal matchups, and even his other matchups were very difficult. So great job to you, Joe Guzowski. Sorry I said your name horribly. If you see this, much love for you. When the Boss data slate happened initially a long time ago, and here we're coming into another data slate, but the prior one I was saying Mega Nobz are going to make their appearance, and it looks like they have been steadily as we're getting into this next data slate, possibly this week, maybe in 2 weeks from now. I want to see if they end up getting maybe a points decrease or an increase, or maybe they don't get touched and we just see an orc release codex. But Mega Nobz are definitely interesting and always slept on. But what I really interested to see from this list was the Snikrot and the Battle Wagon, the Kommandos, all incorporated into one list, sneaking in a Deffdread on a undefeated list. That is so impressive. I'd just love to hear from this player if he sees this. So shout out to you. Great job by giving Mega Nobz some love. Great job from being unique and using what I call the scalpel unit, yet putting big choppers on it, making it your own, and just overwhelming gets with a bunch of knobs. So great job.